So let's talk about a story that kind of flips the script on your typical murder mystery. We're diving into Holly Jackson's thriller, Not Quite Dead Yet. And in this one, the mystery doesn't kick off with a dead body. Nope. It starts with a death sentence and a clock that is ticking down fast. So let me ask you this. What if you had just 7 days to solve your own murder? I mean, that's the absolutely chilling question right at the center of this whole thing. You survive this horrifying attack, you think you've made it, only to be handed a choice that's not really a choice at all. Okay, so our main character is 27-year-old Jet Mason. She wakes up in a hospital bed, head throbbing after being brutally attacked in her own home. But the nightmare is far from over. The doctors give her the news, and it's basically a death sentence. The attack caused a brain aneurysm, and her options? Well, they're terrible. She can have a super risky surgery that they're pretty sure will kill her right there on the table, or she can have exactly 7 more days of life before that aneurysm bursts on its own. Guaranteed. So, faced with a guaranteed death sentence, what does Jet do? She makes this absolutely incredible choice. She says no to the surgery. Instead, she's going to use the last week of her life to do something that sounds completely impossible. She's going to find the person who did this to her. She's going to solve her own murder. And just like that, the clock starts ticking. Jet's investigation is on. So where does she even begin? Well, her mind immediately goes to 2 people she ran into at the town's Halloween fair, just hours before she was attacked. All right, first up is suspect number 1, J.J. Lim, the ex-boyfriend. And for the police, this is almost a no-brainer. Their last conversation was not just tense, it was public, and it happened right before the attack. He's basically the perfect, easy target for suspicion. And the evidence? Well, it starts to pile up against him pretty fast. First, people saw them arguing at the fair, and he was wearing this really distinct, straight red clown wig. Then, when the police are processing the crime scene, what do they find on Jet's clothes? A single, straight red hair. Boom! For them, he's instantly the prime suspect.
But Jet, she's not so sure. It feels too simple. Her gut is telling her to look at someone else, Andrew Smith. He's the town drunk, and more importantly, he has a very, very public grudge against her entire family.
And you know what? Andrew is a pretty solid suspect, too. He was also spotted at the fair wearing a similar red clown wig. He's got a powerful motive, blaming the Masons for his daughter's suicide. And check this out. Forensically, he's a perfect match. He's right-handed and taller than Jet, which is exactly what the evidence says about her attacker. So now we have these 2 potential killers, and the investigation is kind of stuck. But then, Jet gets a break, and it comes from a really unexpected place. The GPS tracker on her phone, which was stolen during the attack. She pulls up the location, and it pings at a construction site, one owned by her own family, Mason Construction. When she gets there, she spots it, a small patch of concrete that's been freshly poured. It's just a hunch, a desperate feeling, but she and her friend Billy grab some tools and just start breaking it open. And sure enough, buried inside, they find a bundle wrapped in a dish towel. And this is a huge turning point, because inside that bundle is her completely smashed iPhone and the murder weapon, the hammer that was used to attack her. And get this, it's wrapped in a dish towel from her parents' kitchen. This tells the killer didn't just panic and dump the evidence. They carefully, deliberately buried it. So, you have the police, right? They see that red hair, and they're basically ready to slap the cuffs on JJ and call it a day. But for Jet, this discovery changes everything. She's thinking, why on earth would an ex-boyfriend go to all this trouble to bury the evidence at her family's construction site? It just doesn't add up. This isn't some personal attack. This has to be about the family business. And with that realization, the whole investigation takes a sharp turn. This was never personal. This was business. Now, convinced that something is seriously wrong inside the company, Jet does something drastic. She breaks into the Mason Construction offices. And what she finds there is a huge, ongoing financial crime. We're talking about payroll fraud, a whole scheme set up to pay employees under the table to avoid taxes and insurance, all to keep the family business from going under. And the person behind it all? This is what's so devastating. As she digs through spreadsheets and tax filings, the truth becomes undeniable. It's her own brother, Luke. He's the one who's been running this whole illegal operation for months, maybe even years, paying people off the books to save the family business.
And just like that, it all clicks into place. The attack wasn't some random crime of passion, it was calculated. Think about it. Jet had just moved home from law school. Someone was terrified she would start poking around in the family finances, use her legal knowledge, and uncover the whole illegal operation. They weren't trying to silence her. They were trying to silence what she might discover.
So now there's a powerful new motive. But it leads to a new question. Who would be willing to kill to protect Luke's secret? And that's when Jet finds a clue that points the finger at the one person she never, ever would have suspected. She's looking at a crime scene photo of the hammer, the murder weapon, and she notices the brand name stamped on the handle, Colby. It's not a common brand, it's pretty obscure. Later, she's at her best friend Billy's apartment, the guy who's been helping her this whole time, and she sees his toolkit, and every single tool in it is made by Colby. And the spot for the hammer? It's empty. You can just imagine her heart dropping. The evidence seems completely undeniable. Absolutely heartbroken, feeling totally betrayed, she confronts Billy, the one person who has been her rock through this whole nightmare. She looks him in the eye and accuses him. It had to be you. The murder weapon is yours. But that accusation, that gut-wrenching moment of betrayal, it's the last tragic misdirection. Because the real conspiracy, the real secret, started decades before Jet was even born. Okay, here it is, the awful truth. 30 years ago, Jet's mother, Diane, had an affair, and it was with their neighbor, a police sergeant named Jack Finney, who was also Billy's father. And the result of that affair? It was Luke, Jet's brother. So for nearly 3 decades, Jack Finney has been watching his biological son Luke grow up from across the street, never able to claim him. When he figured out that Jet was getting close to exposing the fraud that would ruin Luke's life, he decided to do something about it. So the killer is Sergeant Jack Finney. He grabbed the hammer from his son Billy's toolkit, used it to attack Jet, and in doing so, he perfectly set up one son to take the fall, all to protect the other one, the son he could never, ever admit was his. And this is where you see the 2 layers of the conspiracy. Jack Finney was the attacker. He's the one who actually swung the hammer. But Luke wasn't innocent. He realized what his real father had done for him, and he became an accomplice after the fact. He actively helped Jack cover up the crime to protect both of them. So, in the end, this whole mystery unearths this poison that's been festering for 30 years, hidden just beneath the surface of what looked like a normal family. And it just leaves you with this really haunting question, doesn't it? What secrets are buried in the families we think we know? How well do you ever really know the people you're closest to?